It's a story as old as time. You're bored, and you want to play a game that's up there with the peak of your era, just to be disappointed time and time again with the quality, or rather lack of quality, that these new age games have to offer. You decide to play one of the dime a dozen highly stimulating soulless live service titles that are rife in the market today. And after a hefty grinding session of getting nothing but frustration and ass cramps, a lingering feeling of disappointment seeps into you. This cheap depiction of flashy colors and repetitive gameplay doesn't hold a candle to even the worst of your era. Yet here you are, routinely spending your hard-earned free time, grinding this garbage hour after hour, day after day. You ponder on how to get out of this lame-ass cycle that only serves to line the pockets of the likes of greedy CEOs, and ding ding ding, of course, you've got it. You can simply play the older games that you didn't get a chance to play when you were younger. It's genius, actually. You wouldn't even have to spend a dime. You can simply emulate and go on from there. So after reading dozens of articles, watching tons of YouTube videos, and of course, browsing the forums to no end, you finally amass a litany of games in your hard drive. They were hailed as the best of the best by the greasiest of forum-dwelling spurg lords. And there's so much to choose from. In fact, there's too much to choose from because you have no idea where to start. This gives you anxiety, and after thinking about it for way too long, you eventually pick the game that got the most praise from your favorite e-celeb. So you boot it up, create a character, get past that long-ass intro, and then something hits you with the impact of a prime Mike Tyson uppercut. Pure, unfiltered, unadulterated boredom. You try your hardest to keep playing despite your obvious disinterest growing by the second by telling yourself things like, "I'm not bored. This is actually really fun, really. I'm having the time of my life." But you can only lie to yourself so long before the insidious boredom takes full control of your body, manifesting into a swift Alt F4. Now you're confused, befuddled, absolutely, higgly-pigglied. Why is it that after trying our hardest to enjoy good games, we simply just can't? Is it that our brains decayed from when we were naive, carefree children? Or is there something more sinister that causes this unfortunate conundrum? And why are we able to mindlessly play live service abominations like Fortnite, Overwatch, and God forbid League of Legends for hours upon hours without any problems? Well, it's a good thing I'm here to explain, and possibly even fix this problem of yours if I'm ever so lucky. Alright, so to put it simply, your problem is that you spend too much time engaging in short-form, high-stimulation giving activities that raise your dopamine levels to a point that's unsustainable. The godless abundance of short-form stimulation has led to your folly, not only in the social media form, but also in the video game form. In pretty much any form you could think of, really. Short-form stimulation is the king of today. Like many people of this era, you're an addict, and your addiction is stimulation. My advice to you is to stop engaging with these highly stimulating live service games, as well as these cancerous apps like TikTok that prey on your addiction. And finally, once you're done with that, develop habits to give you long-form stimulation instead. And there you go. Now I'll see you next year. It's not that simple? You want me to go more in depth so that people can understand the true evils and how companies abuse our animalistic instincts for their soulless monetary gain? Alright, let me break it down for you. First, what is stimulation? To put stimulation in words, it's basically the triggering of our senses, good and bad. Now, stimulation is made up of three branches: physical, mental, and emotional. And when these are triggered enough by external stimuli, they often cause you to develop habits that are constantly reinforced depending on factors like how easy is it to do, how long does it take to trigger the reward center of our brain, etc. Now, this is crucial when it comes to motivating people to do important things, like finding food, sex, you know the drill. Now imagine that stimuli is free and readily available for anyone of all ages. The only barrier to entry is a download and a couple of swipes on your phone. What this leads to is a populace of mindless, hyperstimulated zombies whose god is an algorithm that's designed to rot your brain with the highest amount of stimulation as humanly possible. So it can keep you engaged enough to have your stupid drooling ass accidentally hit an ad, so the soulless corporation behind this abomination can get a very small piece of the pie. I've already done a video on short-form content and its relation to video games, so I'm going to put a link to that right here. This video is about something different, something that seems harmless at first, but when you boil it down, it's really no different from the cancerous short-form digital content that's got the whole world hooked. I'm talking about the insane amount of live service games that massive game companies love to dump tons of money into that are all over the gaming market today. These games are often just short-form stimulation disguised as video games. And I'll say it right now, there's nothing wrong with playing these games, in the same way that there's nothing wrong with browsing social media or watching TikTok from time to time. I even play these games every now and again. But I'd be an idiot to completely ignore the cheap tactics that these companies leverage to get you hooked on these microtransaction-ridden games. Isn't it rare to hear people say that they actually like games like this? I can't remember the last time someone genuinely said to me, "Oh man, I love League of Legends. This new COD is so good." Most live service game players often just shit on the game unequivocally. And when I tell people to just quit, they say things like, "I would if I could. You don't understand how addicted I am. And there's nothing else to play right now." And this one really irks me. There's nothing else to play? Bullshit. There's so many games to play right now. It's absurd how many games that you could possibly play at this moment right now. I've been playing games since I was fucking 4 years old, grinding these fucking jam-packed piece of shit games on the PS2 that used to be marketed as like 5 games in one, but in reality, they're just a bunch of demos. I obsessed over games like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. It was the peak of my era, and they were there for me when I had no one else. So in my 20 years of playing video games and beating games left and right, I still got about 200 incredible games that I've never played in my life on my backloggd. And I pray to the best, the mightiest God, that I finish my backlog by the end of my lifetime. Because this shit's growing every month, and I honestly don't have faith if I'm being honest. Now, this is why I find it crazy when people say that there's nothing to play right now. Even completely ignoring all games that have come out in the last 5 years, there's enough games out there that will keep you occupied for a century, and then some. The problem isn't that these games are too old, or the gameplay sucks, or that the graphics are bad, or the writing's horse shit. It's that most people are spoiled by the intense amount of stimulation that these new age live service games have to offer. That's God's honest truth. I would say that's probably the #1 reason why people don't like video games right now. It's that they're spoiled. You're probably spoiled. You, watching this video here. But here's the weird part. You're not spoiled like some Roman elite dude in 100 AD getting fed grapes by some beautiful woman with massive tits and drinking wine by the gallon while watching gladiators fight to the death. You're spoiled like the guy who's wearing a beanie with holes in it and some fucked up old jacket that weighs about 90 pounds, always asking me for a frickin' dollar whenever I happen to leave the 7-Eleven. You're like a junkie, man, hooked on this colorful deception that's intended to get you buy worthless pixels in a game that's going to die in about 3 years, give or take. Now this shouldn't stop you completely from playing these games. You can still play this garbage every now and again, but when it's blocking you from doing the things that you love, or in this instance, the things that you used to love, then you got a serious issue here, man. Of course, if you're playing these live service games with friends, that automatically makes it okay, because of the power of friendship is OP. It's a lot like drinking actually, now that I think of it. Doing it with the homies is a fun time, but doing it by yourself is depressing. I know from experience. A lot of experience, I'll tell you that much. But in essence, you should strive to play games that give you fulfillment and genuine joy, not cheap flashy colors and a false gambling fix from ELO going up and down. If I was in your shoes, I'd probably ease down on the live service and immediately create a backlog. Here's mine for reference. Link in the description. It's basically just a website that you can track the games that you've beaten and mark down the games that you intend to beat in the future. It's so fucking helpful when it comes to avoiding the paradox of choice. You can literally just hit random on the list and boom, just try to beat that one. If you can't, no sweat. Change it to shelved or abandoned. Play the next game on your list, and you're good to go. You guys would honestly be so surprised on how much of a game changer this site is, with the amount of games that are readily available to us through legal means, of course. So why don't we do this? How about instead of putting money in the pockets of out-of-touch CEOs that could not care less about our well-being, why don't we just do the opposite? Let's get on that you will own everything and they will be seething grind set and actually start completing some game. And once we do that and ignore all the noise that's in the market, I guarantee you we'll all be so much happier. But yeah, that's the video. If you want to join the Discord, and later.